different. And we're going to show a couple of packages that we've got available as an example so that you guys get a really firm understanding of what we're offering to the market and how different it is. Renee.
Yeah, wow. So thank you everybody for coming today and being a part of this session. We have a range called the Inclusive Range, and a part of that is our SDA offering. The way that Gallery do things differently in the SDA space is that we do a lot of research and basically due diligence around the product offering in the particular locations we're going into. So we have a very strong network in their space, NDIS space, allied healthcare, support coordination, SIL operators, SDA providers, hospital liaison officers, everybody in the industry that's working closely with participants and people needing housing outcomes. I always have weekly and fortnightly meetings with those groups just to make sure that we are all talking the same language, understanding the needs of actual participants looking for a housing outcome. And then what we do, we have a full specialist team in the background. So we have land acquisitions, we have SDA drafting team, we have SDA site supervisors. So everybody understands the product offering that we are bringing to the market. We go and specifically look for land and locations where there is really high demand. I mean, currently right now we're working in the Sunshine Coast where we need to house 35 people that are looking for a housing solution. And that's coming from one ward in a hospital, working with one social worker and hospital liaison worker who's working with an external support coordination team. So those are the types of networks that I'm working with all the time with my wider team, Misha included, to understand what the demand is and who needs homes. We then, once we go and source the land, we'll bring a package to the marketplace through our network of referral partners that we work with, and they can share those with their investors. The way by which we are doing it is really shaking up the industry. We're making sure we're going into locations where there's little to no supply. It's in built up areas, so there's already a community feel, neighborhoods, you know, close to local infrastructure, shops, public transport, and making sure the product offering is really suited to the demand that's in need right now. By doing this, when we're really protecting the investor, but our passion also really comes back to the participant, what SDA was created for. When we put the participant first and understand their needs, their housing requirements, their disabilities, how their everyday life works, and we can create that in a design and a home and then deliver it into a location that is really suited to them, we're making significant change in the industry and changing people's lives, which I'm really passionate about. And then by doing that, we're getting a really successful outcome for our investors. So it's just a full turn circle. We connect everybody all the way through. The other thing that is significantly different is we connect our investors with SDA providers. So we want to make sure that they have the best opportunity to have a successful investment property. So they come again and they buy another one and, you know, really give back in that social impact investing space. Connecting them with SDA providers that we work with in the industry that have the demand, have the connections with the SILs and the support workers to get participants placed quicker into homes. We also touch on finance. So we understand the finance is a very, very important part of an SDA product, SDA investment. We have brokers that we work with that put through probably 80% of our SDA deals because they understand the structure that's needed to make it a successful outcome.
And do you want to tell the guys, so for everyone that's on right now, something that has particularly been like selling SDA is it's an entirely different asset class. And the reason why the finance component is so important is that if you don't do it the right way, what can happen, Renee? Like, what have we seen happen at Gallery?
Significant shortfalls in valuations. So people having to dig into their own pocket, put an extra $130,000 in, not actually being able to close the deal because of either the shortfall or believing they can get finance through their bank. And when the bank realizes, well, hang on a minute, is this an SDA home? We don't lend in that space. The deal falls over. So Essentially, it needs to be a commercial structure.
Mhm.
People get nervous about commercial finance.
Mm.
It's commercial finance for a residential build.
Mhm.
It needs to be valued commercially to allow you to take into account the SDA income.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you able to explain to the guys how the SDA income is actually calculated? Where do we get those figures from? So explain to everyone that it's not just a number that we make up and where we source those figures from.
So that comes directly from the NDIS themselves. They have an online calculator that is available to the public. It shows you lots of different things that come into play with the calculation.
Mhm.
So location factor, house type, how many residents are going to be in that home, if there's fire sprinklers, if tax credits were claimed, etc. And by doing all of those checks, we then come up with an income projection.
Mhm.
And that income projection is then taken into account into the commercial valuation. And we're actually very heavily relied on, well, I am in the space with valuers in the market asking my advice on how, we should be valuing these properties. So it's really
That's a compliment. So guys, that's how valuable Renee is to our business, and not just to our business, to your investors who are looking to purchase a property in this space. The fact that we have someone like Renee working in our business that's so trusted in the industry is an incredible asset.
Yeah, but it allows better outcomes for
Yeah.
everybody in the industry and also for our investors. So the beauty of the commercial structure is not only can we take into account the SDA income, but you're also enabling yourself to go again. You can release equity easily from a stabilized SDA investment, which means when you have 1 or 2 participants or 3, depending on the type of property in the property, there's SDA income coming through. Your investment is now stabilized. You have a commercial income generating a cash flow positive situation. You'll be able to release equity and go again and buy it in another commercial structure without tapping out your residential lend capacity. So it's a really great outcome. And yeah, I just feel when everybody gets the ingredients right in an SDA investment opportunity, it's a really fantastic outcome. There can be lots of negative information in the marketplace. And of course, you're always going to hear about the war stories.
Mhm.
And I've seen plenty of them. But if you do it right and you work with the correct team that specialize in this space, you get a really fantastic outcome.
Okay. So that everyone on this call understands, what are the right ingredients for an SDA investment?
Ingredients include location, demand, connection with the local network. So that's an SDA provider, could be sales, it could be support coordination, finance, structuring it correctly, and the timeline to completion. So we are building these homes on titled or near titled land, so our timelines don't push out. We're completing them within 26 to 30 weeks, so we are building faster.
That's incredible.
And getting people into homes sooner. And throughout that construction period, we're connecting clients with the SDA providers, which means we get placements sooner into the investment property on completion. So having all those steps aligning in the industry with what's right and just getting a really great outcome. So ingredients is really about demand, location, finance, and your specialized consultants.
Okay. All right. Now, just before we flick over to share our screen, does anybody have any questions for Renee on what we've just discussed now? I'm just pulling up the chat. No. No. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pull up a package, guys, that we have available at the moment. And so this is a new estate that we'll be going out to this afternoon. So please, if you have either Renee or myself on socials, please feel free to watch what we'll be sharing this afternoon. We're going to a builder's exclusive release for this estate. And I'm going to get Renee to talk to us about why this is such an incredible estate and how the Gold Coast stacks up for our investors. So I'm just going to share my screen. Are you guys able to see this?
Yeah, I can see it. Right.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for confirming, Joey.
Sure.
Beautiful.
So this is a high physical support package in the Kelly Estate in Gold Coast in Upper Coomera. It is a 220 square metre high physical support home, or known as a HPS home. We're on a 402 square metre allotment, and this basically shows you how we're doing it. So we've got 2 participants for this home. So it'll be enrolled as a 2-participant HPS home under the NDIA scheme. We have a media room. We'd love to put media rooms in properties. It allows that flexibility when there's 2 participants sharing a home. Someone wants to have quiet time or watch a movie, and the other person has like friends and family over, or even getting supports, care. The clients can have those separation of spaces.
And just so that the guys understand, Renee, like where that addition into our designs came from.
It came from talking to participants and what is their livable standards like, and what they experience in their shared homes that they have to utilize in the disability support space. So media rooms, it's a very welcomed bonus. Participants love them. Support workers love them too, because it allows them, if they are providing supports to one participant, there is that other area that a client can go to. We have the OOA, or on-site overnight assistance room, which is utilized by the SIL operator that comes in and provides those supports to the clients. And just a really large overall home, which we love to try and achieve. A larger alfresco area, and we've got a garage there as well for the clients for storage. What we love about Gold Coast and why we're presenting this is because the demand is huge.
Why is the demand huge on Gold Coast? Just so, because some of the agents that we've got on today are not necessarily from Queensland, so they don't.
Everybody wants to live in the Gold Coast. Obviously, it's a lifestyle choice as well. Gold Coast is a beautiful place to live. The local infrastructure is incredible in Upper Coomera. It's one of the areas where there's a huge spend going in. Local,
the Coomera
Connector, Westfield, hospitals, private and public. Education spaces, cafes, supermarkets, Costco, like everything is going in Upper Coomera, or is already there. But also there has been not a lot of investment into the Gold Coast because of price point. We can see here that this is a package of 1.179, and the income generated on this property would be approximately $177,000 per annum, with 2 HPS participants in the home on a 1-to-2 funding model. We have got SDAs, SILs, and families contacting us every day asking when are the new properties being delivered in the Gold Coast, because they get calls every day. There's just not enough homes being built in this location, like many of our other locations. So that's why it's very important to get location right, so you can really hit that demand and try and get a balance.
And some of the other conversations like that we had with Lauren, and she was talking about the reason why people, like, even the demand so high on Gold Coast, it's not just because of the people who want to move here, it's also people who are living in other SDA houses that might not be up to,
might be a legacy stock home, it might not be up to the current standards, it might be overcrowded, it might be an old group home and they don't want to live with 6 other people or 5 other people in a group home setting. So not only is it, you're right, new SDA participants looking for a housing outcome, it's people needing to move out of old legacy stock or housing situations that aren't desirable. It could be family looking to place their child and they just have not found the right solution. So they've just stayed at home in a really unsuitable situation. So there's lots of variances. We also have people aging into the scheme. So turning 18 and aging into the scheme. So you're only eligible for SDA once you turn 18 and you can get it into your NDIA funding package. So that's just how we're doing it differently. We're going into locations where people want to live. There's been little to no supply, and we are able to deliver it in a very great time frame.
Okay. And Renee, just so that everyone else knows on this call, I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but Gallery has our own single contract facility. And specifically, a lot of our investors are taking up that option for our SDA packages. Renee, what percentage would you say of our SDA packages are being sold as SMSF compliant single contracts?
Oh, probably about 20 or 30% now, maybe even more.
Yeah, it's getting pretty high.
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, when people understand the product,
Mm.
how we can offer it, what that means for them in an investment. Some people, you know, we have clients that go, oh, great, I'll do one
Yeah.
commercially this way, and then I'll do one in my SMSF as well. So it allows them to actually get two investment properties in a very quick succession.
We've got some of those going on this morning.
We do. So it's a really great opportunity. It's a gallery owned single contract product. It's not a third party one. So we actually end up purchasing the land and building the property under our product offering that's endorsed by 4 major lenders. So it's a really great opportunity. If you want to know about it, we can discuss it further.
Yeah, awesome. Well, does anybody have any questions while we've got Renee and myself on here? Like, I know there isn't too many of us on the call today, but just, you know, a small group is a good group because it means that if you've got questions and you wanted to learn about it, we've got Renee whose time is incredibly valuable, and we have to book her normally weeks in advance to be able to get time with her.
Right. You can guys put your questions on the chat channel, or you can unmute your microphone to ask your questions away. Well, I do have a question, though, Misha and Renee, about this single contract. Okay, is that going to be applicable to all the SDA housings that we are listing for you? So that could be converted into a single contract, right?
Correct, Joey. So every single one of our contracts is able to be converted. So I will share the screen with the calculator on it, just so that everyone can see it on here. So I'll do my screen share. So this is what our single contract calculator looks like.
Oh, it's in the portal. Okay, that's great.
Oh, yeah. So as long as anyone who has the link has access to it. And this is across all of our products. So we were looking at this one in Cali, Upper Coomera. So I'll just put in the land price.
The reason I asked Misha is I think we have a client who is interested in buying through SMSF and DIS.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna send this packages over to her.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, Joey, we're more than happy to have a discussion with yourself, the client, their accountant, their financial planner, because sometimes, you know, like it's always better to have all of the people who are involved in it in the same room.
Right, that is right. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we've found that Chinese whispers does more damage than good in this industry.
It doesn't seem to translate over.
No, it doesn't. And then you've got people who don't understand, and then things just, it gets lost. The devil is in the detail. So this just gives you a breakdown of all of the costs and what the uplift in the package is. So, and it also provides you a financial figure of exactly what the investor will require as their deposit in their SMSF.
30% deposit. Okay. Is that right? There?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this 30% deposit like negotiable, Renee, Misha, or it's
No, it's not negotiable. So the reason why we require a 30% deposit is because the loan, so how it works is we actually purchase the land and we purchase the build, we combine them together and then sell it as a single contract. In order for us to fund the entire package, we get a 70% loan. So if we were to lend higher than 70%, the interest rate that we would incur would be too high, and it doesn't make the package. It's not viable.
Yeah,
I get it. Thank you. All right. Okay. Any questions from the team? Please, anyone? I think we have one. Owen.
Hi, yes, I just have one question. I did attend your gallery group at the event at the Carlisle a few weeks ago. So I do have Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
The question I have just specifically on Upper Coomera is, do you have multiple properties, or have you got a pipeline of these coming through? Because I would have someone interested, but they're out of the country at the minute for probably another few weeks, maybe a month. And then when they come back, they'd definitely be interested. So I'm just wondering if there's sort of further opportunity for the Gold Coast.
Yeah, there will be further opportunity. It's scarce, like it's not a huge amount available, but we are getting, because we're a wholesale builder, we get off-market developments and land opportunities. We have a full land team, so that is a bonus that we get to have that. So there will be Gold Coast opportunities coming up.
Wonderful, thank you. I'll definitely keep my eye out and reach out as soon as they're ready.
Great. Owen, we'll make sure that we can either send information through to Joey and the team to make sure that information gets passed on to you once it's
Exactly.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions?
I feel like we could talk for hours.
I know. Lead on to co-living.
I don't think we've got enough time.
Oh, we've run out already.
Yeah, we've only got 6 minutes left.
Do you want to touch on our co-living?
Yeah, so guys, I might just touch on co-living, seeing as we've got a couple of minutes left. I'll just bring up our website. So Gallery actually specialize in co-living. So two of our top products, I would say, is SDA and co-living. The reason being is because we've put a significant amount of research into it, and we've invested heavily on marketing assets for our sales partners. One of those marketing assets you are looking at right now, that's our co-living website. This website doesn't have any prices whatsoever on here, but what it does have is everything that is essential for you to be able to close and explain how co-living works, what the type of investment is, how the building is constructed, the construction type, how the lending works, the property management, any frequently asked questions, and what the exit strategy is. Very high level for co-living. It's an excellent investment opportunity for anyone who's looking at a high yield investment that they can resell into the property market to either an investor or to an owner occupier. The reason why that's possible is because essentially it's just a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. How we make it a co-living is because we include furniture in here, and the house is designed with locks and keypads on every single one of the doors. Each of the bedrooms has its own AC unit, it has its own oversized bathroom, and each of the tenants have a lockable pantry. How we've put these designs together, we did a significant amount of research with, well, now it's over 2,000 co-living respondents. So co-living respondents are people who are living in a share house type situation, but are looking for an alternative that makes sure that the property is not only in an excellent location, it's a brand new house, and they've got freedom over where they live and how they live. So things like they're on their own personal rent, they're on their own personal lease, and they pay their own bond. So the way that co-living legislation works is that you're only able to have a maximum of 3 tenants living in the one home on separate leases. Anything other than that is not actually co-living according to the legislation. So we've created this website for you guys to run through. I use this whenever any of my sales partners are first presenting a co-living type property. I will go through this with them, or sometimes I'll even offer to do the first couple of presentations to their clients with them, just because, you know, like when you're presenting something for the first time, it might be a little bit overwhelming if you haven't got enough practice. I do this probably 3 times a day, so I'm quite well versed in it, and it's easier, makes it a nice presentation for you. So we literally just go through this little wheel that we've got here, talks about how the research went into the design, how we've come up with it, what's included, the floor plans, how the finance and construction works. A lot of lenders now actually have a specific co-lending product for investors, which, 5 years ago when it first came out, that was definitely not the case. Something that is incredibly different about our co-living offering is the fact that we have a specialized property management team. So they're called our Click Property Management Team. They manage all 3 tenants of the house. And one of the main questions that comes up to me quite a lot when I'm doing a co-living presentation is, how do you make sure all of the tenants are going to get along? Now, we spend a lot of time doing tenant acquisition, and because of the offering that we have with our co-living properties, so they're fully furnished, they each have their own TV, their own air conditioning unit, their own bathroom. So because we're hitting the top property type that's available in a co-living space, we're able to attract a higher tenant who's happy and willing to pay extra rent every single week. So those top tenants that we're attracting, we personality profile them, and we also personality profile match them with other tenants. And as I said before, the exit strategy for investors who are looking at purchasing a co-living is, like they've got 2 investment exits. So they can either sell to an investor, and if it was like, if you're selling an established investment property that already has tenants and it's high yielding, you're going to have a really good resale market. But also because we're building in brand new areas that are high growth, close to amenities, because that's what really attracts the tenants. It means that the owner occupier market is quite strong in those areas as well. So this website has a lot of data, a lot of information, but it also has areas here where you can go through, take people through an investment journey, show them the supply and demand, what the returns are. There's so many different things on here that you're able to show to a client. We also have our designs available on here so that they can see what different floor plans are available to them, what's included, how the houses look. We also have, we have a run home that's available in one of our estates in here in Queensland, and that house is completely kitted out. So it has all of the furniture. It actually belongs to one of our investors that we've leased back because we wanted a run home to be able to, for any of our agents to be able to use. And that is also extended to any of the agents that are on this call as well. If you have a client, then you're based in Queensland and you'd like to take them through our co-living run home, you're more than welcome to do a presentation there. We have people do events there as well, which we love hosting too. And it's a really good sales tool. We want to make sure that if we are offering something that's, it's been, one of my agents referred to it as an exotic type of investment. So it's one thing to present it on paper or when you're on a call like this. It's another thing to do it when you're in person and people can look, feel, and touch anything around them. It's a completely different experience for them. Just before I go any further or run over time, Joey, do I need to wrap up?
Yeah, thank you, Misha. I think yeah, because we have another builder who will be presenting shortly. But this has been a great presentation. Please ensure, Janelle, that we have this links that we can send to everyone. I want this link for co-living and the single contract for the SDA to be sent to all the members.
Yes.
Which includes
sure.
all the packages available from Gallery Homes. Well, yeah, thanks again, Misha and Renee. Do we have questions before they go or they end the presentation, guys?
Where is the property in Queensland to take people through to show them the setup?
Thanks, Kim. So that property is located in Logan Reserve. Is that close to you at all, Kim?
I have no idea. I'm new to the area, so
Oh, okay.
I'll Google it.
Oh, welcome to Queensland.
Thank you.
If I could just ask a quick follow-up question, Logan Reserve's pretty close to me. What would be the process if we did want to book in to bring a client through?
So either reach out to Janelle and Joey, and they can get in contact with myself, and we can book the home for you. The reason why we prefer to book the home is because you might be doing a presentation with a client and another agent might rock up.
Yes.
So we'd
no,
like to make sure that everyone's booked in so that you have your own time allocated.
brilliant. No, that's fantastic. Thank you.
No worries, Owen.
A quick question about the Gallery Homes property management. Will the clients be required to use your property management team, or can they engage with someone that they probably know already?
100%. They're always
Okay.
welcome to go through their own agency. We always encourage people to like make their own choices. What I will say though, Joey, is
Yeah.
that sometimes people will try and save cents instead of focus on making dollars. We had a couple of agents recently, or a couple of clients recently, they decided to go through a different property management team in an area that, you know, we have 3 team members focusing on, and they got $200 less a week than what our girls were listing it for.
It also voids our guarantees.
Yeah.
So we have
Oh, yeah.
rental guarantees. Yeah.
Is it a 3-year rental guarantee? Is it-
No, so for our co-living, so we have 2 options for our co-living properties and for all of our properties, or except for SDA. We have either Rent Guard, which is a fixed percentage for a fixed amount of time. For co-living, that is 5 years at 5%, or we have a total tenant guarantee. The total tenant guarantee, in my opinion, is the best option because you've got 6 weeks for us to lease it out for you, have it fully either as a co-living, fully tenanted out, so that's 3 rooms. And for a traditional home, it's the entire home or a dual key, both sides. If there is any period after that 6 weeks where that property is not leased out, we cover the entire price of the market rent that we've promised on our rental appraisal. We will pay to the investor until it's leased out. So,
Yeah.
for example, in a co-living, just say we've only leased out 1 room at $350 a week, and the other 2 are remaining vacant after the 6-week period. We will pay $700 to the investor for the shortfall in that co-living investment until it's fully tenanted.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of
Nice.
security for the investor, and like I said, we've put a lot of research into this. We've invested heavily in the team as well to make sure that we've got the right people to get the right outcomes for our investors, because we don't just want to do, you know, 1 to 2 deals with any of our agents or with our investors. We'd love them to have such a great experience that they come back to us again once they're able to.
Makes sense. Thank you. Right. Okay.
Wonderful. All right. Well, does
I
anybody
think
else
we can
have
wrap it up. Yeah. Unless you guys have other questions. I think there are no more questions, Renee and Misha, but we really do appreciate your time. Great presentation once again. And let's see each other again in the next webinar, okay? Thank you so much.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello everyone. Hi, I'm Janelle, and I think we are ready to have our next speaker, Anthony Sewell from Property Investment Store, and I think he will be discussing these SAFE or fractional investment, which is still a very in demand property or investment in the market. We've actually sold a few since we've Anthony and his team launched this and introduced to our members. So, Anthony, good morning. Actually, good
Good morning.
afternoon.
Sorry
And,
to keep you waiting, Anthony.
That's all right. No problem at all.
Right. You know, your product is one of our favorites. I think it has become my favorite since we launched it. Very excited about this presentation as well.
Yeah, look, it's a great opportunity, and I think hopefully today everyone will get a bit more insight into why we believe it'll be a great product for everybody. So yeah, look, a bit of my background. I've been in the property investment and finance space for the last 28 years. I've seen a lot of different things come and go. And as far as I'm concerned, this safe property product is probably one of the most exciting things I've seen in the last 28 years. The reason being is because I guess if you think about who we deal with when we speak to investors, we're really only dealing with the top 15% of Australians. That's all that really can afford to talk to us about investing in property. And I think that that's fine, but then that whittles down to the people that actually want to buy something off you to a lot less of a percentage. The safe property product really starts to enable us to tap into the 85% of people, or as I like to say, the iceberg that's under the water. It gives the rest of the community who may never think they have a chance of investing in a property an opportunity to be able to buy a percentage share of a property and get into the market and get their foot in the door and enable them to get some pretty strong growth and pretty good income over that time. So we also are very heavy in the NDIS SDA space. Obviously Gallery do that as well, and we do that also. We started 6 years ago when SDA started, and we've been doing that for a very long time. We have our own management business as well, which is the third largest management company in Australia. We have over a 95% occupancy rate in being able to get tenants for our SDA homes. So we know how to do SDA properly. We know how to get tenants. We know how to source properties and locations all around Australia. We're not just in Queensland, we're all around Australia with our SDA product. And we have SDA products starting from probably around about $800,000. So, you can get in at quite a good price point, and you can certainly get in, and we know how to get the tenants and get the management done for our investors. So we've probably done over 100 builds in this space now over the last 6 years and been managing these for quite a while. We've probably got another 50 in the works now at least. And we probably have, with the group that we've combined group of management now, we've probably got over 450 properties under management in the SDA space. So we do know very well what we're doing in this space, and bringing safe as a fractional investment type product across to the SDA side of things, I think is it can work, but it really only can work, with the way we do it, which is having that management assurance to know you're going to get your tenant and you're going to be able to get a tenant paying the right sort of rental returns. So let me share my screen and we'll go through the safe presentation to give you a bit of an information and on just how it works as far as the product goes. I'll just share this screen here. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes, mate. Can see it?
Great.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, safe property, fractional investing, which it's all about. And I suppose one of the biggest comments, we hear from our investors when we deal with them is, they would love to buy a $1 million NDIS SDA property in a higher growth area, getting excellent rental return, but they don't have enough money. So that's the most common thing we hear, unfortunately, for our investors. Everyone would love to do it, but they just can't afford to do it. So the idea of safe can change that opportunity for them in a great way. So fractional investing, well, let's explain what it is in simple terms. It's basically the idea of buying a portion of a property and allowing you to get all the benefits of owning a property without all the expenses. So in that example there in the graphic, you've got a 65% shareholder and you've got 5% shareholders. So you're going to be buying, or your investors are going to be buying 5%, or they can buy 10%, or they can buy 15%. They can buy whatever they want, whatever amount they want. But for each property that's being sold, there's only 35% available to be bought by investors. There's already the 65% shareholder that owns and runs the project as we go forward. So who would consider a safe property investor? Now, these are just a list of a few that I've come up with, but we're seeing sort of more and more all the time, and more variations on the theme of these people as well. So I think there's so many people that falls into the category of. You've got young investors, with a small cash deposit. So they probably can't afford to buy a full investment property, but they can get in to buy some shares in one and start leveraging themselves in a way they probably wouldn't have been able to before. Investors who can't get approval to purchase an investment property outright. So there's plenty of people at the moment with the way interest rates are, they might not be able to be approved because they might have a home loan already on a home and their income isn't big enough to get them the capacity they need to buy an investment property, a full investment property. But they might be able to get $200,000-$300,000 quite easily out of the bank. So that would be perfect for something like this. SMSF investors with cash in their super looking to get a better return. This has been the very popular avenue. We've got a lot of investors who have small amounts in their super. They might have 150 to 300,000 in their super. They can't really buy a property, with that. Basically, they look at it and think, well, I could go and buy some apartment somewhere that's old and get a terrible return. But this gives them an opportunity to look at something a bit different and get them a far better return. Conservative investors not wanting to commit to a large investment. Well, not everyone's happy to go and spend $1 million on an investment property. So to go and spend a small amount on buying a smaller share does interest some people. It might excite some people to do that. Investors looking to diversify 5% in 3 different properties. So for example, you might have enough money to spread and purchase 5% share in 3 different properties rather than spending 5% all in one. So you can sort of spread your eggs out a bit and diversify. So there's a number of people it does help and can help. And as I said, there's many variations to that theme as well. So what are we looking at here from a numbers point of view? So from as little as $45,000, someone can get in to buy a 5% share in one of the properties. So it's a pretty low amount to get in off. You're purchasing a 5% share of a property. You're on the title as an owner of your share. So you're actually purchasing the property under tenants in common. So you're not purchasing under a unit trust or anything like that, which I know these have been done in the past under those sort of structures, which aren't real transparent always. This is simply once they buy their 5% share, they own it, you own it, that's it. You get all those capital growth benefits on owning the property. You can sell out at any time, benefiting from the full capital growth, capital gain on your share. And there are rent returns of up to 12% per annum paid monthly. So for a 5% share, getting a 12% return on your investment plus 6 to 7% capital growth, it's a very good investment. Might only be a little bit of money, but per dollar spent, you're getting a very good return on your money. So the opportunity there for people to be able to leverage themselves and increase that small amount that they might have into it is actually very strong. So what are you investing in? Well, as I said before, what we specialize in is an NDIS SDA property. So that's what you're actually investing in. Obviously accommodating people with disabilities. 14% of the population of Australia are actually on the NDIS. That's a $30 billion scheme per annum, covering those 14% of the population. So that's about 4 million people. 4 million Australians are actually on the NDIS. There's a lot of people on the NDIS. 6% of that 4 million will actually receive the NDIS SDA funding. Okay, so we have to be very specific in understanding that not everyone on the NDIS gets to get the funding to do this sort of thing with these properties and live in these homes, in SDA homes. It's only around 6% of the 4 million that will receive SDA funding. I think we're about 50% of the way through that funding now. So those people now. So we've still got a long way to go. We design and build and manage the SDA homes ourselves based on the information we get from our management side of the business. We design and build them. And the rent returns have up to around 12% per annum, paid monthly. And we currently have over a 95% occupancy rate, as I said before. So that's in a nutshell, then some of the numbers and some of the information and statistics there of what you're looking at as far as what you're investing in. When we look at property, obviously from a growth point of view, capital growth point of view, we believe there's 3 main key factors that help a successful capital growth on any property. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, these 3 factors work. And it's really looking at the infrastructure going on in the area, looking at the government spending, and looking at the population growth. If you've got strong infrastructure projects, that normally means that the area is moving forward and things are happening and there's jobs and people are moving there for jobs and there's work and there's all the reasons to be there. Government spending does tie into that a bit, but once again, if the government's spending money on infrastructure and transport and things like that to improve that, well, obviously means the area is moving forward. Population growth, well, that comes from the jobs and the other opportunities in the area. And once again, they've got to have somewhere to live. So that puts pressure on the market, puts rents up, rents put prices up, and you're getting the capital growth. So if you find an area that's lacking in infrastructure, government spending and population growth, it'll be lacking in capital growth. It's all very relative, right? So that's the three key factors that we do look for from a capital growth perspective. Obviously, when you're looking at an SDA property, one of the big features of it is cash flow, is income. And cash flow is king, no matter what. Okay, if you've got a small business, you know that it doesn't survive without cash flow. And it's the same as an investment property. Effectively, as I say to my clients when they purchase investment property, when you're looking at investing in property, you've got to pretend you're buying a small business. Okay, and if you don't have that cash flow coming in, that small business isn't going to last for very long, or it's going to struggle a lot. And that's really what it comes down to, is SDA properties are very good with cash flow if you get a tenant. If you don't get a tenant, very bad with cash flow. And that's what we specialize in, making sure we design homes and build homes in the right areas to get the tenants to get that cash flow. So it's a very key factor that we're very focused on. So what does an SDA, an NDIS SDA home look like? Well, as I like to say to people when I explain this product, if you're not explaining the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're really not telling the full story. Okay, it's easy to sit there and waffle on about how good things are and how excellent it is, right? But there are some tough parts about this NDIS space. There's no doubt about it. And one of the parts is that definitely people do design homes that can be a little bit ugly. There's no doubt about it, right? You've got to build a compliant disability home. Compliant normally means ugly, but it doesn't mean it has to be ugly, right? You don't have to be compliant. You don't have to be ugly. But some people build it because they're just building a compliant home and they think, well, we build it compliant. That's all that matters. But what matters is, if you wanted to live in a home, what would you want to live in? Something that looked nice and warming and homely, or would you want to look something that looks like a hospital and feels cold and sterile? So unfortunately, there's still people building ugly NDIS homes out there. And here's a sad example of one of those cases. This is a fairly new property, mind you. The front of it, you can sort of see the wheelchair ramp, stands out quite well. And I don't understand why they've got a wheelchair ramp and they've got this driveway that looks like a ski jump. So to me, don't understand how that gets through, but that's up to them to worry about. But that's a fairly ugly looking frontal of a NDIS house with disability elements to it that look very disability. The bathroom, to me, it makes me sick, this bathroom, because I just think, how could someone build such a compliant bathroom that looks like something from a local park or a prison or a hospital? I mean, it doesn't look like a nice, homely, warm, inviting bathroom. And, you know, this is a sort of house that people are designing for people with SDA to go and live in. And remember, people with SDA approval, they have choice for where they want to live. They can either choose to live in this house or one of our houses. And it costs them exactly the same out of their pocket to live in either. So what you've got to look at is, you know, this is the design of what else is out there, and then what we design. That's the kitchen of one of these ugly sort of homes that they're designing. That's a fairly new kitchen design as well. But once again, very stark and not very inviting and not very warming. So we believe we build pretty good houses. Okay, we've listened and to the requirements and what they want, what they need, as far as in a home, and that's what we sort of focus on. These are some of the fronts of our houses. The frontal, obviously, photos of our houses. You can't really tell from the street that these homes are a disability house. They look like a regular everyday house that's in the street. So not any problem with neighbours or covenants. Usually in the estates, usually they're pretty happy with our home designs. When you come inside, these are our living areas and kitchens. As you can see, very non-disability. The only thing would be that TV cabinet there, just with the sort of screen over it to stop people throwing things at the TV. But other than that, it's a very friendly, warm, inviting house design. The kitchen, as you can see, certainly feels like a regular kitchen feel. Fully compliant kitchen. There's elements in there we've made sure it complies with all the standards and all the elements it needs to comply with, but it is very compliant. Once again, another kitchen, house design. Our bathrooms, they don't look like a hospital bathroom. Okay, we've made them very warm and inviting and very regular family for your sort of bathroom. So they have a choice of which house they want to live in. So if you had a choice of which house you would choose, which one would you choose? Okay. So what it comes down to it is we provide a product that we believe is why so many people want to live in our houses and why we have such a high occupancy rate in our homes. And as I've said there, so which one would you choose? All right. If you were in the disability space and look, it can happen to any of us. You could walk out front of your home today and have an accident and end up in a disability home in one of these positions yourself. You know, which one would you choose? Let's go into some of the numbers. So yes, Joey was right. We've had a lot of success with Property Inbox with our product so far. One of the Property Inbox members particularly has sold now probably, I think, 3 to maybe 4 complete homes. Like when I say complete homes, like all 7 lots of 5 shares in 4 to 5 homes, 3 to 4 homes. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a product that once you get a roll on, it really does get some momentum, and you've got to get your head around it a bit sometimes. But we believe the product is very strong and does offer quite a logical solution to people's investment needs. Now, this one here, we sold this out quite quickly. This was in Sanagra in WA. This one was $60,000 roughly for a share in this property. But as you can see there, the rent return on this property was about 12.78% return. So it's a very good return on your small investment. That's just the rent return, but then you've got obviously the capital growth on top of that. So it's could be anywhere between 18-19%. So it's a pretty good return on investment with that purchase. As I said, that one sold out very quickly, but we do have other properties around those sort of price points. The next one was in Queensland. Caboolture, I believe we've done a few shares in this one now. There might be a couple of shares left from memory, I can't remember. But this one certainly a good spot in Caboolture in Queensland is one of the highest areas for disability requirements up there. And there's a lot of people looking for homes, SDA homes in that area. So slightly higher in the 5% share price. That's because the land's more expensive. And it's a dual key property, same as the last one was as well. This one was $72,000 for your share with about a 9.92% return on that, which is a great return on investment once again. And then we've got one here in Tamworth in New South Wales. I believe there's still some shares available in this great location. I've got a client that bought there about 8 months ago, and I reckon she's already made $200,000 in the value of her land. So this one, although it might be a lower return on investment from a rental return of 8.68%, which is still probably the highest rental return you'll get in all of Sydney, the capital growth opportunities there are huge because where Tamworth is located, it's on that sort of southwestern side of the Hume Highway, where once the airport goes in, the Badgerys Creek opens up, that thing's a monster. There'll be so many people wanting to live on that side of the highway, and that whole region's going to grow out of control. So there's a lot going down there for growth opportunity. Obviously, land prices are way more expensive there, so hence the price being more expensive, but a great opportunity to get in. You might have an investor that might say, well, I'll buy one share in all 3, right? So they might spread their eggs out and spread their risk out and have that sort of advantage to spread it out a bit more. So I've run some numbers here as an example. For the first one that I showed you, which was the $60,000 share purchase. So this one was the one in Western Australia, $1.2 million, and gross rental return of $2,975, which is $151,000 a year for 2 participants. This one was based on a 15% tax credit, someone buying in their super, and there was going to be about $1,834 a week positively cash flowed. But if you times that by 5%, so your share, it was about $91 a week positively cash flowed, right? So you put your $60,000 in and your $91 a week positively cash flowed after all said and done, right? So that's including all your insurances and rates and all those sort of things. You remember you're paying 5% of all those things as well, right? This is like owning 100% property, but just times it by 5%. So everything that's good, times by 5%. Everything that's bad, like a bill or whatever, 5%. So same sort of thing. You just got to think 5% bite-sized pieces. But the cash flow numbers, as I said, are very good on these properties because the rent return is so strong. So let's just have a look at some rough numbers that I've run here, just to give you a bit of an idea on how I see the numbers panning out, right? And this is where it sort of starts to blow your mind a bit. So obviously the purchase price over here, capital growth, purchase price of the property was 1,210,000. You invest your 60,500. In 5 years' time, and I'm using a 7% growth rate here. In 5 years' time, the property should be worth about 1.697 million. Your 5% value has gone up to $84,840, $850. In 10 years' time, your 5% has gone up to 119,000. And in 20 years' time, your 5% has gone up to 234,000. Right, so they're pretty good number of returns on just such a small investment, $60,000. If you look at the income side, year one, 151, 5% is $7,550. I haven't changed the income here. I've pretended the income's going to be the same for the next 20 years. Right, so I'm being very conservative on the income projections. 5% of the income over 5 years, you've earned $37,000 plus. 5% of the income after 10 years, you've earned more than $75,000. And 5% of that income over 20 years, you've earned $151,000. Right? So then if you come across here, and I've added all these numbers up, so over a 5-year period with your growth in your income, you've basically made $122,000 on investment. Over a 10-year period, you've made $194,000. And over a 20-year period, I guarantee you've made over 400 because that rental income is so low that I've used. Right, so that's over $400,000. You've turned $60,000 into over $400,000, and effectively, it's cost you nothing to do it. Okay, because if you're $91 a week positively cash flowed from the start, then that's where it's going to basically start. You're going to be pretty much positively cash flowed the whole time. Now you think about it. I reckon one of the things that blows my mind with this is parents who have got equity sitting in their home, and they might have kids, the one that's just, 2 years of age, one that's 4, one that's 6. They could take 180 grand in equity out of their home loan. They could go and buy 3 shares, one for each of their kids, in 3 of these properties, which the rent would come and then would easily cash flow that mortgage. The extra money coming in would easily cash flow those payments on that mortgage. They could sit on that mortgage for the next 20 years, and in 20 years' time, effectively sell those properties and hand them kids $400,000, right? And it's cost them nothing to do it. Now, a terrible statistic I heard recently was that Gen Zers or Gen Zers, however you want to say it, they won't be getting into their first home now until the average age of 40. So if parents really do want to help their kids get a leg up and get into the market, then this is definitely the way to be doing it, because they can put the kids in a position now where they can, in 20 years' time, hand them quite a lump sum of money as quite a large deposit on a property, and it's really cost them nothing to do it except using the debt equity in their property. All right, so to me, awesome opportunity to get involved in all aspects of people's lives and different people from different walks of life. And I suppose for you guys, one of the key things you've got to understand is how you get paid and basically how that works. So obviously Property in a Box are involved with it, so the money goes through them, and obviously Property in a Box take out their share, but I'll speak in terms of the full commissions. So for each 5% share that's being sold, you're paid $10,000 plus GST. Right, so if you sell 3 shares in one property or 3 shares in 3, then it's $10,000 plus GST on each one, less Property in a Box's fees. The advantage with these is that, unlike regular property, where if you sold something today, there'd be mostly not much of a chance of getting paid for 3 months plus sometimes. Effectively, when the procedure and how this works is, a client puts in a sales advice, they pay a $2,000 deposit at that point, and then they have the single part contract issued for them to sign, which takes a couple of weeks. Once that's signed, they pay their full deposit. So they'll pay the balance of that $60,000 at that point. At that point, we're talking maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks max, is when you can invoice to be paid, and when we'll be paid by the Safe Property to the commissions that get paid at that point. So we're talking a 3 to 4 week basic timeline for you to actually see some money. So the awesome part about that is obviously we all want to cash flow our businesses, right? Cash flow is king. And this gives you a great opportunity to be able to do that, as well as helping investors that we're never going to have a chance get into the market, get them into the market. So great opportunity for investors, great opportunity for you guys who own businesses, who have some of you have consultants working for you that need cash flow. I mean, the market has been a bit quiet lately. We've all been suffering a little bit from that. And this product to me is exactly what we need to be leaning on right now, because this is bite-sized stuff. It's easy stuff for people with money in their super funds to go and be able to do. And this is the sort of product that we need to be able to leverage and have going gangbusters while the other market for full properties is struggling a little bit, right? So great opportunity to get some things moving on the cash flow side for your business, great opportunity to help your clients. And that's basically it. So any questions from you guys? No questions. Wow. Okay. I know Peter's son has been busy with a few of these. He's been busy talking to clients and getting a few things happening, learning the process.
Yes, Anthony, that's why I got no questions. I've already asked.
That's good. Any other questions from any of you guys?
Yeah, mate, just one thing, if you could, please.
Go for it.
When do you expect, basically, obviously, these are investments that they keep holding on to and they keep getting the rentals every week, monthly, fortnightly, whatever it may be. Most of it is tied up in capital growth. Is there a date that you're looking at, basically maturity or anything? It's basically when this asset is to be sold?
Look, it depends on the investor, I suppose. If you've got your money in super, you know, it doesn't really matter. You can leave it there as long as you want. You're gonna get that income paid monthly anyway in the rent. And then if you want to sell out, you can sell out whenever you want. It's like any property. I mean, it comes down to the fact of what's the property market done that area which you've bought in. So if you've bought in a good area that's made some good growth in the next 4 to 5 years, you could sell out then if you really wanted to. You might have a young guy that's, you know, wants to get that money out because he wants to actually, he's got enough money raised now, he can take that money out and go and invest in a property purchase, a whole property purchase on his own. So the sellout process is pretty straightforward as well. I mean, you go and get 2 valuations by 2 registered valuation companies, average it out, and 9 times out of 10, the 65% shareholder, they will actually purchase that person's share anyway. So they've got first right of refusal under the contract. So, and if you don't, we can sell that share as an ongoing concern to somebody. So definitely, like regular property, it depends on how well the area grows and how well, you know, how much money they can make. In the meantime, they're going to make some good cash flow from that, which they can put back into their super, or they can take that cash flow and pay it off a mortgage or whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? We do have a frequently asked questions sheet. Tony, who's on the call here, works with me as our BDM. Tony can certainly send you out some frequently asked questions and some further information on the product. And look, we're here to help as well with you guys. We're here to get involved, get on the meetings with you and your clients. We've got white label presentations that we can give you. You guys can use to present this. We're trying to make this as easy as we can for you guys to help sell this product and help you know, promote it to your clients. We have got some groups that we're working with Property Box groups we're working with at the moment. We're going to do some webinars with, and we're going to do some you know, talks with our own clients. We can do that too. We're at your disposal to help make sales, because if you guys are busy, we're busy and everyone's happy. So we'd love to be able to help doing that for sure. All right, guys. Well, I think that's Joanne, did you have a question?
Anthony, I do have a question about settlement on land. So example that the land is registered or titled, right? Do we settle, I mean, do we need to sell like all the 7 shares before settlement on the land can take place?
No, these will happen all in the background. It'll just once we've brought it to you, it's already underway in the process. So in other words, it's already underway with settling on land, getting build underway and all that sort of stuff. It's already happening in the background. So, but at the moment we're selling them so fast that it hasn't started to happen because people are buying the shares quickly. But realistically, yeah, everything just is happening in the background towards the construction and everything taking place as quickly as it can.
Okay, I get it. Thanks, Anthony, because we have that one sale, and that was my question in mind, right?
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Janelle, is there anything else? Any questions from the team?
Yeah, I have one. Hi Anthony and cheers for the grouse what do you call it? The webinar. That's awesome. I do have I'm a support worker and I have a couple of clients I work for, and that like how can they buy like they obviously couldn't afford the whole house in the house, but how like could they buy into it as well as rent it, or like is there any way for them?
I don't know under the NDIS rules if there's any sort of conflict in that. I'd have to check that out, but I'd have to check out just if there's any conflict of interest with them actually living in it, of a house they own themselves. Because the whole idea of SDA funding is that people aren't in it. It's for people with significant disabilities that are not in a position to probably ever buy their own property. So I would say you're probably talking about more about people with not with SDA funding, but more with just NDIS funding. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
I don't see that being a problem then, if that was the case. If it was just NDIS funding, it wouldn't be as much of a case. And they might be able to do that. It's just that it depends where we're building these, because we build these based on the numbers and the return and the investment. We don't build them to order, if you know what I mean. Like we're not going to build them in an area where they happen to be living. Generally, it might be a good area. It might be an area we will build in. Whereabouts are they located, for example?
They're here in Logan Lee.
Yeah. Look, we've got a few properties in that area, and we might get some more over the next, short term. But just right now, land is hard around that area. That's why we've made it hard. It's been hard for us. Plus, also the value of land's gone up quite a bit around there, so it's making it a little tough. But not to say we won't, but keep an eye out. I mean, you've got access to the stock list. And you can sort of see what's coming up and available. And if something suits your needs, we'll talk to Tony and we can certainly figure out how we're going to make that work for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, I've got one of them in a complex unit that's $450 a week. So I have to try and find some suitable tenants.
Yep.
Because to fit in with my client, and that's not easy.
No, it's hard. It's hard because there's a lot of stock in other areas and there's none in your area, and it makes it hard. But the problem is that it's very numbers driven, this space. So for an investor, we have to be able to sell it based on the numbers. And that makes it hard then for some areas. I mean, Sydney, for example, like there's so many people in Sydney crying out for SDA homes, but no one can really afford to build in Sydney because the return's not going to be good enough. So why would you buy an SDA home in Sydney when you're going to get 5% return, where you could buy one in effectively WA that's going to get you 15% return, So it does make it hard. It's a tricky space to be in that regard. So.
Yeah. No, thanks for that.
That's all right. Any other questions, guys? Well, thanks for coming along today. I appreciate everyone's time, and I appreciate everybody being on today and having a listen. And if you've got any more questions, please feel free to ask Tony, and we will send you all some information after this anyway that you can just have a bit more of a read over it, look over what's going on. If you need any help with presentations, let us know.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Anthony. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to contact Property in a Box as well. Janelle and I can assist, and we can connect you to Anthony as well.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right.
See ya.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.